Good evening and welcome to the penultimate round of the Formula Regional Americas iRacing Invitational Championship. My name is John Phipp and so happy to be with you. My cohort Austin Knight is running a little bit late tonight, but he'll be joining us momentarily. And as always, these beautiful images that you're seeing on the stream provided by Marco Barbanera. So great to have Marco along with us. Like I said, Austin will be joining us shortly. We are at Sebring International Raceway in sunny Sebring, Florida. It's 78 degrees there, partly cloudy, with light winds about 12 miles per hour. Track temperature right now 104 degrees, and we are in qualifying mode right now. Qualifying just now getting underway, as we have had 5 different winners in the 5 rounds so far. Darius Trinka winning the most recent round up at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in a thrilling last lap battle with Simon Sykes. Nelson Mason not far behind, coming home in 3rd spot. Benjamin Peterson, Flynn Lazier, Blake Upton, Victor Anderson, Benjamin Waddell, Nico Rondet, and Zachary Rivard, your top 10 in the most recent race. And with his finish in 6th place overall, Blake Upton moved up into the points lead by the slimmest of margins. About 4 markers separate Blake from Dario Cangelosi, who is 2nd in the points. And then it's another 5 markers back to Dakota Dickerson. So with just this race and one more remaining, it's pretty much a 3-horse race for the championship. Of course, the winner of the championship will win a set of Hankook tires. 2nd place, a 90-day pit fit training regimen. 3rd place will win an Olumagato watch. And of course, the Sabelt, who is ours, you can see in the upper right-hand corner. Sabelt is our sponsor for this evening's race. Sabelt also has a weekly prize for the Sabelt Hard Charger Award. That's for the driver who makes up the most positions from his qualifying position to his finishing position. And then there is a season-ending Sabelt Award. And right at the moment, Jordan Messig is the leader in that in the 48 car. He has 51 overtakes so far. Ellis Spezia, 2nd at the moment. Ellis with 36 overtakes. Blake Upton, who is leading the points, is 3rd in the overtake brigade, and he is tied with Ellis Spezia for that Sabelt Hard Charger Award.
Yeah, last week in Mosport, after that crazy incident at the start of the race going into Graveyard, Blake Upton actually lost a lot of spots, and because he was actually involved in there.
Exactly right. And welcome to Austin Knight. Howdy, howdy, howdy.
Howdy, howdy. I wanted to hop in there and act like I was never gone for a little bit.
Indeed. Where else in the world were you racing just a few moments ago?
I was broadcasting with the ACI guys over at Watkins Glen.
Awesome. Well, you made quick work of your trip from upstate New York to sunny Florida, and we are in qualifying mode right now. Quinlan Law, the first to finish a lap here on this 3.6 mile circuit at Sebring with a 154.82. Darius Trinka, the most recent winner, 2nd quick so far. Dario Cangelosi is 3rd fastest. Dario already a winner this year at COTA. David Porcelli joining us for the first time. David is one of our series regulars, has raced with us on several occasions in the F4 US Championship. And David with us this weekend in the 13 car, currently 4th quick. Swede Victor Anderson in 6th. And just as I say that, points leader Blake Upton moving up into the 5th spot with Victor Anderson shuffled back to 6th. Again, the drivers who are regulars with us in either the Formula Regional America Series or development drivers coming up from the F4 United States Championship drivers are the only ones eligible to score points toward the season-ending awards. But in addition to the 26 plus regular drivers that we have in the field, there are 10 guest drivers with us. That was a bit close.
Yeah, as Megan goes around in front of
Megan Jilks.
Right in front of Jacob Abel.
The W Series competitor has looped it right there in front of Jacob, it looked like, but looks like she didn't collect the barrier or get collected by the cars following her. So she's back underway. Megan just turning in her first flying lap, so she's still working on pace. So far, 22 cars have turned a lap, as we still got about half of this 10-minute qualifying session yet to go. The race, which will start immediately thereafter, will start from a Formula One style standing start, and it will be 30 minutes in duration. Once that all concludes, we'll have a chance on the stream to talk to our top 3 finishers, and then on the Instagram stream afterwards. Amy Greenway, who is our communications director and the brains behind this entire outfit, Amy will be holding forth with other drivers in the series. So jump over to the Instagram stream after the end of this race, and you'll get a chance to interact with some of the rest of the drivers in the field.
I can definitely tell you, going into those Instagram streams, it really opens your eye on how much these drivers take this event seriously, how much work they're putting in, how
Yep.
much money they're actually investing into their rigs and everything. And you get to connect to the drivers a lot more. And here's some funny stories.
Exactly right. And these drivers are all obviously in a situation where they want to enhance their profile. They're all up and coming professional racers, and that's the whole purpose of the F4 US and the Formula Regional Americas Championships, the ability for these drivers to step right out of go-karting for the most part and find their way into the highest echelons of open wheel racing, not only in this country, but abroad as well. Both series, of course, sanctioned by the FIA under the auspices here in the US by SCCA Pro Racing. As we ride along with Dominic Cicero, one of our regulars in the Formula Regional Americas Championship. Dominic, one of our Masters competitors, who are a special award for drivers over the age of 35, and he qualifies for that. As we mentioned several times, Dominic is a Hollywood stunt driver, among other things.
And Dominic, pretty much going to be very used to driving on very bumpy surfaces, using that stunt driving skill to his advantage as he jumps up into 14th. As Sebring is known for the bumps. As we look at David Braceli's, he's bouncing up and down around Sunset Corner, but he makes a nice exit there. Just lost down to Darius Trinka as he comes across the line with a 154.23. New provisional pole sitter of Darius Trinka with that 153.93. So we're looking through the field of these guys. They're using all of this track to their advantage, but not going into the dangerous grass.
Indeed, they are, and this track has evolved so much since its original layout. It's the basic layout is pretty much the same as it was in the early '50s when the former Hendricks Field Air Force Training Base was converted into a racetrack by Alex Ullman and his crew, and it has evolved in its layout ever so slightly, and down to about 3.7 miles, I think, is the current length. As we're running now down into the hairpin turn. As you can see, that's been reprofiled, and the Fangio chicane just after that. A sweeping left-hander leading up to the sharp Cunningham and Collier turns, which head over toward the tower turn in the upper right-hand corner of the track. As we ride with Bruno Carniero right now. Bruno back in 21st position, one of our guest drivers out of Sao Paulo, Brazil, the 2016 F4 China champion, and he also competes in the F3 Asia Series.
Yeah, get to see where all the FIA sanctioned F3 regional series takes all these drivers. We got some drivers from F3 Asia, F3, well, we got the F3 Americas in here, and then about a few of the 5 different F3 regionals in Europe. I was going to say F3 European, but then you would have been like, which one?
Exactly. That's why the FIA this year came up with the idea of Formula Regional to avoid the confusion. Up until this year, we have been known as the F3 Americas Championship, but the FIA didn't want to confuse that with the International F3 Championship, which travels around the world with many of the Formula One races. So they changed the name, basically, of these regional series, which are the stepping stone, the second step on the 5-step FIA ladder from F4 into the Formula Regional. And then the graduates from Formula Regional, hopefully, will be able to find a ride in the F3 International Series.
A little bit of squirreliness happening on the front straight as qualifying is ended. I believe that was just a little bit of check up on the brakes and just catching the car. He did avoid the wall, but yes, the ladder for the FIA heading up to Formula One. I can't wait to see a driver who started all the way in F4 get up into F4 Americas, get all the way up into F1, and I'm pretty sure that will happen very soon because this ladder, the way it's laid out, is definitely working.
Exactly. That's what we're hoping for. And we've got graduates like Cameron Doss racing in Europe right now. He's our inaugural F4 champion. Kyle Kirkwood, back-to-back champion, not only in F4, but also in the Formula 3 and now Formula Regional Americas. Our reigning champion, Dakota Dickerson, also back-to-back championships in Formula 4 and Formula Regional. Joshua Carr, who is racing with us here this evening in the number 2 car. Joshua is the current F4 champion, and he will be stepping up into Formula Regional Americas for the 2020 season once we get it underway. We got the bad news just this week that what we had hoped to be our first round with all the delays from the COVID-19 epidemic, our first round at COTA, Circuit of the Americas in June, unfortunately has had to be postponed. So we're pushing back now, looking at VIR in July as potentially our first race meeting of the year. But the two events that have been postponed so far, Road Atlanta and Circuit of the Americas, both hopefully will be rescheduled for later in the season. So we'll keep our fingers crossed that will happen. Qualifying has concluded. Simon Sykes on his last flying lap looks like he's going to be able to notch the pole by the slimmest of margins, just 16 hundredths of a second in front of Darius Trinka. So those two combatants who were duking it out wheel to wheel for virtually the entire race up at Mosport or Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, coming down to our closest finish of the season so far. Looks like they're going to be starting from the front row once again down at Sebring. David Porcelli, as we mentioned, making his first start with us in the iRacing Invitational Championship, is third quick, it looks like, and Quinlan Law in the 22 car is currently fourth fastest. Benjamin Peterson rounding out the top 5, but we'll get the full starting grid for you here in just a moment as we're just about ready to send the cars away. And here you can see the qualifying results with Simon Sykes, Darius Trinka, and David Porcelli, the top 3.
It's followed by Quinlan Law, Benjamin Peterson, Ben Waddell, Jonathan Scralla, Zachary Rivard, and Nelson Mason, with Flynn Lazier finishing out the top 10.
Victor Anderson, Dakota Dickerson, the reigning Formula Regional champion. Bradley Sikorsky, who's a spotter and iRacer of some repute. Dario Cangalosi, Marco Kosick, Jacob Abel, Matthias Solero Bell, and Bruno Carniero rounding out the top 18. In 19th spot, Joshua Carr, the reigning F4 national champion. The Blake Upton, who is our points leader, in 20th spot. Jackson Lee, Dominic Cicero, Josh Bethune, Arias Dukmejian, Parker Locke, Kent Vaccaro, Logan Cuson, and Jose Blanco, your top 28. And the rest of the field, we have Jordan Messig, who is our Seatbelt Hard Charger Award leader, Ellis Speza, Megan Jilks, and Dominic Livernoy. Rounding out the field as we are getting close to having the entire field ready to go. Darius Trinka popping into position there on the front row. Dakota Dickerson still to make his appearance. Josh Bethune also waiting to take his position on the starting grid as Flynn Lazier locks in his position back in 10th position.
And just getting ready as all the cars are sitting on this very hot track. This is going to be very tricky for the drivers that are starting at the exit of Sunset Bend as the clock is counting down as Dakota gets onto the track. And I can tell you the heartbeats are rising, and so are the revs, because ladies and gentlemen, the 5 red lights are coming on.
Lights are on and out, and we are away. Simon Sykes gets a great jump, and right behind him is David Porcelli, and Porcelli's going to go for the lead into turn number 1. Porcelli from the second row got a dynamite start, and I think he's going to take the top spot.
Oh, no,
he spins it. Looks like he and
Porcelli,
Sykes got tangled up, and we got a whole gaggle of cars off at turn number 1.
Crazy action in turn 1 as chaos in turn 2 is also happening. We had cars on top of the barrier, wheels flying all over the place as it's Law, Waddell, Peterson, Mason, and Trinka, your top 5.
Quinlan Law taking the top spot as Waddell slots into second. Benjamin Peterson, now Nelson Mason moving up into the third spot as we gather the field here as they work their way through the hairpin and onto the Fangio curves.
Involved in that opening crash was 7 cars of Sykes, Porcelli, Sikorsky, Marco Jacob Abel, Matthias Kent, and Jose Blanco.
Benjamin Waddell slots into the lead now as he gets around Quinlan Law to take over the top spot. Benjamin Peterson in that orange livery right there in third. Nelson Mason in fourth spot. And Darius Trinka, the most recent winner, managed to get through that schlamazel in the first turn into fifth spot. Now Quinlan Law coming back as he tries an inside move as they dive down into Cunningham. Law and Waddell side by side as they work their way through that little chicane and into the tower turn.
And the best person on the field right now is Peterson. He's getting two side drafts at the same time. He's going all the way down below the white line, almost kissing the wall as they're going 3 wide heading into the Sunset Bend. And we got a new leader here, Benjamin Peterson, as they race through Sunset Corner to end out a very chaotic lap. Put it into the wall. Peterson, Law, Trinka.
Law and Trinka both involved in that. Looks like Law got wide and into the tire barrier and then rebounded across the track and collected Darius Trinka. So Law and Trinka both knocked out in that incident as we get a replay of it. Thanks, Marco. As you can see, Law getting a little bit wide and he just didn't have the grip to get the car down. He had some contact. Yeah, I think he hit Nelson Mason, and that's what shoved him off into the tire barrier. And then Trinka was just an unfortunate bystander as that car caromed across the track.
Well, as we take a look at the very start, as David Pacelli is getting absolutely hammered by 6 cars right there.
Exactly right.
Yeah,
you can see Porcelli, and then the field began to back up behind him as I think drivers taking evasive maneuvers as it looked like Porcelli might come back onto the racetrack. But turning back to live action now, Benjamin Peterson beginning to stretch it. He's got over a 1-second lead over Ben Waddell with Nelson Mason in that third spot. Zachary Rivard currently fourth. Jonathan Scarallo just behind him as the last driver in the top 5. As we stay with Benjamin Peterson, working his way.
Peterson just has to keep his eyes on the road now. 1 second gap to the cars behind. He will be being closed down by Waddell in the draft, but not close enough to where Waddell can actually close in on him as Anderson is taking a trip into the grass. A little bit of a wiggle right there, but recovered by Anderson as a battle for 5th place between Lazier and Scarallo. Side by side, these two are going as well as Mason and above.
Lazier with the spot right now as he got around Jonathan Scarallo to take over that 5th spot, but Scarallo getting a good run through Sunset is going to pick that position back up, or try to at least. He's side by side with Flynn Lazier, the 3rd generation racer, as they work their way into that very tricky turn 1.
They also got cars coming out of the pit lane. They're going to stay very aware of those two as they're just trying to rejoin the track and get onto racing. We got a crash in the front, and that is Cesaro and Dumont. And they're still in the middle of the road. They finally get out of there. And that has been very unfortunate for these drivers, but a driver who is very fortunate of this start is Megan Geitz. She's been having a lot of trouble in the opening laps as she's been here.
Megan, yeah, working her way up into the top 10. She's currently 10th quick as we ride with her right now with that very notable pink livery. She's only about a little less than a second behind Logan Cuson in the 99 car, just in front of her. She's picked up 21 spots. So if she can maintain this kind of pace and work her way forward as we get a replay of that most recent incident.
Yeah, there's a car coming out of the pit lane, actually.
That was Arias Dubmajian, who got together with another car back to the front as Benjamin Peterson continues to show the way to Benjamin Waddell. And then just behind them, that's Josh Booty Bethune that we're riding with right now. That's Victor Anderson just in front of him. Anderson, the Swede, up 4 spots from where he qualified. Bethune has picked up 15 positions from his qualifying spot. Just behind him, Logan Cuson has picked up 18 spots. And like I said, Megan Gilks, the leader, the front runner at the moment for this weekend's Seatbelt Hard Charger Award, up into 10th, just behind them. As we stay with Booty Bethune, the New Zealander.
The W Series driver definitely in the hot seat right now. Gained more places than anyone, and I believe more spots than the cars that finished the first lap.
Nelson Mason sliding inside Benjamin Waddell to take over second spot. Mason finished a strong third at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park last week and was in position to perhaps make it a three-way grandstand finish, but his car lost power about 2 laps from the end, and he dropped back. He was able to pick up a lot of the ground that he lost, but he wasn't a factor for the win. But he is right there in the hunt as we look out over the back wing of Mason's car at Benjamin Waddell just behind him. And Zachary Rivard not too far back, about 2 seconds further back in fourth spot.
Got a replay of a incident. This is Parker Locke and the 19 of Blake Upton, as Parker just got extremely loose heading into the S's right there. The pavement changes, so the grip kind of falls off and the car has to readjust to it a little bit, and there's a nasty bump on the entry into that braking zone.
Yeah, the surface here has been portions of it have been repaved, and portions of it are still the original concrete runways from the 50s. So the track has a lot of very different grip conditions, as we've got a great battle for second and third between Waddell and Mason as they continue to go side by side down the long Ullman straightaway, heading for Sunset Bend. Waddell has the inside line, which is preferred, and he forces Nelson Mason just a little bit wide, but Mason's going to try to pull the over-under move, and he dives to the inside. Waddell guarding that inside line into turn one. Sorry, go ahead, Austin.
Waddell has the speed. Doesn't have the speed to hold it on to the inside, but heading into the brake zone, he certainly has the line as Waddell holds off for second place. But here comes Mason, though, heading into turn two. He's going to sit back right there onto the gearbox of Benjamin Waddell as these two are battling out. Zachary Rivard is closing in on these two as the two-time Sebring winner from last year in FR Americas, Benjamin Peterson, has pulled off a 2.2 second gap to these two.
Benjamin, of course, had great success in our first stop at Sebring as Nelson Mason slots into that second spot, but I'll get the names right. Ben Waddell just there looking for a way around. I think Waddell might be a little bit quicker, but Nelson's doing a great job of making that car as wide as possible. Down into the hairpin they go, and Waddell got the inside line, but he drifts a little bit wide. Is that going to open the door for Nelson Mason to repay the favor? But not at the moment. There comes Mason getting a good run through Fangio as they head into Cunningham.
Oh, he was showing the nose how to get onto the brakes. Zachary Rivard is enjoying the show because he knows the harder these two fight, the closer he can get. And he is closing up and about to make this a three-way fight between three great drivers.
Through the tower turn and down through Bishop, they will be heading on to the back straightaway here momentarily, and there they go as their line astern. Benjamin Peterson, your leader. Benjamin Waddell in second spot by about 2 1/4 seconds. Nelson Mason about 3/4 of a second behind him. Zachary Rivard in the fourth spot. Jonathan Scarallo in only his second weekend with us, running in fifth spot. Flynn Lazier, who is still looking for his first win on the season, slotting into that sixth position.
That's Kent Vaccaro.
Kent Vaccaro, yeah, with a little bit of a spin.
Now, as we are watching this three-way fight for second place right now, there's also another three-way fight going on for the Sabelt Hard Charger Award between Ellis Spezia, Megan Gex, and Dominus Livernote. They're all 3 places from each other, and they're all at 19 spots overtakes.
Indeed, Logan Cuson right behind him with only 18 overtakes. So a great battle for that Sabelt Hard Charger Award. And right at the moment, it's a 3-way tie between Spezia, Jilks, and Livernoy. We ride with Ella Spezia in the 11th spot. He is just about 2 seconds in front of Megan Jilks behind him, and about a second behind Dominic Cicero. That's him just hitting the hairpin turn. Spezia out of Hoboken, New Jersey, an e-karting champion, has had good success with us in a partial season as we ride again with Benjamin Waddell in that turquoise and yellow livery. And right behind him, Nelson Mason, third place finisher in the most recent round at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
Arias, he's been struggling at turn 1 and once again goes way off track, but he saved it and kept going straight. And this is Kent. We saw him go off track and hit the wall hard, and I think that's his race.
Yeah, he's already a couple laps down, so I don't know if he'll be able to get back in the hunt. As we ride with Victor Anderson, currently the 7th place runner, kind of a lonely 7th spot.
Dominic Cesaro almost getting into a multi-car collision after taking a big spin. Coming onto the back straight.
Through Le Mans turn, and he got a little too much curb, then got out wide, and that car came around on him as he got the outside tires up on the curbing.
This is the scary part. This is the scary part right here. Woo!
Oh, that was close. And that was Darius Trinka, I think, trying to recover from that opening lap skirmish. Trinka now a lap down in 25th position. So his chances of being a repeat winner is going to be tough. We ride again with this great battle between Ben Waddell and Nelson Mason as they exit the hairpin, working their way across the northern portion of this racetrack through the Fangio Bend and then heading up to the Cunningham-Collier combination, turns 10 and 11 on the 17-turn circuit. Headed toward the tower turn, which takes them down through the winding Bishop right-hander, and then a couple of right-handers in succession takes them onto that long Almond Straight. Through Bishop now, down toward turn 15. A little juke to the left and then on to the final turn that takes them onto the back straight.
Megan's been collected by missing. Both these drivers are collected and stuck with pretty much conjoined with each other as I believe Megan's wearing a part of Messig's car as a hat. As
those two were battling together. Remember, Jordan Messick is
very unfortunate. As Megan's car is
she's got some significant damage. Messig's car as well is going to have to make a call to the pits for repairs. So that will scotch Megan's opportunity to notch the Sawbelt Hard Charger Award for this race. Dominic Livernoy, currently the leader with 21 positions made up. He's currently running in 11th spot. There's Livernoy in that white car.
And second place in the Hard Chargers is the car right in front of him. Ellis Spezia up 20 spots. So both these drivers going for that Hard Charger Award, just separated by 1. But it is a insane total that these two have racked up. 20 and 21 spots overtaken. And we're just halfway through this race.
Yeah, just coming up on 15 minutes of the 30-minute timed race. At the front, Benjamin Peterson's lead, which had been well over 2 seconds, is gradually going away as Ben Waddell just set the fastest lap of the race, a 1:54.3. So Ben Waddell, conserving his tires, is beginning to eat into the lead from Benjamin Peterson. So Ben's going to have to keep an eye on his mirrors. Of course, Nelson Mason right there in Waddell's real tracks as well, as Peterson in the orange car, and then this battle for second between Waddell in the turquoise and yellow livery. And right behind him, we ride along with Nelson Mason. Waddell goes wide and opens the door for Mason. And he takes advantage of that, thank you very much, just as they come onto the Almond Straight. Mason over to the inside.
Yeah, Waddell's going to have to serve a slowdown for that, for cutting the corner. Even if it was a mistake, it's still going to be a race control penalty. He will have to serve that slowdown. That's going to be perfect for Zachary Rivard to get into that draft and start fighting for third place. And Mason's going to notice that, and he's going to try to close in on the driver who swept here in real life last year, Benjamin Peterson. Not 2 out of 3 races, a full sweep.
Exactly right. And Nelson Mason now sets fast lap of the race as he has taken over second spot from Benjamin Waddell with that penalty. So Nelson Mason, a 1:54.3, is just about a tenth quicker than the last lap of Benjamin Peterson, who is feeling the pressure and has upped his pace. He set a personal best on that last lap, a 154.4. So Peterson aware that he's being closed in on. And Nelson Mason setting the fast lap. Waddell is another second and a half behind after serving that penalty. Zachary Rivard another second behind him. And then Flynn Lazier rounding out the top five. Ella Spezia and Dominic Livernoy continued to be tied for the Sawbelt Hard Charger Award, both with 20 overtakes. Logan Cuson, just about 9 seconds in front of Spezia, is second or third, actually, with those two tied, with 18 overtakes. And then 15 to Booty Bethune, who's currently running in the 8th spot. You ride along with Victor Anderson as he's giving chase to Flynn Lazier.
Yeah, Flynn having some connections with just popping in and out with the server, but he's still there, and so he's all good. Hopefully he can stay with us for the next 13 minutes and put up a great battle for that great top 5 position as they're closing in on a lapped car right there.
Yeah, Zachary Rivard is about 5 seconds up the road. As we go back to our leader, Benjamin Peterson, as he comes across the line, we'll see what kind of lap time he's able to click off this time, as he is 54.38, so he turns another personal best. But Nelson Mason right behind him resets fast lap of the race at a 54.25. The interval first to second, you can see it right there, is about 2 seconds. Benjamin Waddell recovering from that penalty is not quite at the same pace as Mason on that last lap. He lost about 2 tenths, and he's about a second and a half behind in that battle for third. Zachary Rivard about an equal distance behind Waddell. And Flynn Lazier, as we were riding with just a moment ago, another 5 seconds up the road. Victor Anderson closing down on Lazier, though. And looks like Anderson may try to make a move to get into the top 5.
Anderson looking like he does have the pace on Lazier, as Mason is showing a lot of pace to close in on Peterson, but can he do it in the few minutes left?
Just about 12 minutes remaining in this race, so still plenty of time. But this is a relatively long lap and a 2-minute lap basically here, as Lazier's car disappears once again and then pops back in.
I saw the lap car go off into the grass. I thought there might have been contact, or that was a eyes up driver just avoiding it, because we see him just. Oh, there might have been netcode contact between those two cars. His car got unsettled, and he wasn't turning left. I thought he tried to avoid it, but the car may have been there on his screen. He got netcode pushed.
Back to the front with Benjamin Peterson through Sunset Bend, as he has set back-to-back personal bests. But Nelson Mason, a little bit quicker, has been able to keep the interval right at 2 seconds. Peterson's last lap even faster as he continues to reset personal bests, but Mason continues to reset fast laps of the race. But if you look at the two, there's only about a tenth of a second difference in lap time. And with just about 10 minutes remaining, Mason's going to have to find a little more than that if he's going to make up that 2-second gap to Benjamin Peterson. Ben Waddell about a second and a half behind Mason in third spot. Zachary Rivard, however, is a little bit quicker and closing up on Waddell now, about a second and a half behind him. Flynn Lazier about 5 seconds further back in fifth, with Victor Anderson very close, about half a second behind. So that's maybe the best battle on the racetrack right now for fifth between Lazier and Anderson. Ella Spezia, currently the leader in the Hard Charger Award, the co-leader with Dominic Livernoy. Spezia running 10th, Livernoy in the 12th spot.
And Livernoy is just ahead of Lee, who is behind him in the draft. And both these guys are leading their battle, and they have quite a ways to the next car. So we might have our first tie if it stays like this, as Park Lock is once again in the wall. Already a lap down. He's been having so much trouble, especially with this corner. And It's so tricky to get it right. Got hooked up onto a curb, and that back left wheel is just disconnected. His suspension is doing all wonky things right now, and he's going to have to get a tow into the pit lane.
Yep, exactly right. As we go back to our leader, Benjamin Peterson, maintaining that lead of about 3/4 of a second and 3/4, I should say, over Nelson Mason. Benjamin Waddell in the third spot. Zachary Rivard still in fourth. As Peterson comes across the stripe, just about 9 minutes, a little less, 8 3/4 minutes remaining. But Mason continues to click off fast lap after fast lap. He has set fast laps of the race on 5 or 6 consecutive laps, each lap a little quicker than the last. So he is not going away quietly, as he came on strong at the end of the most recent round at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park.
As Lee overtakes Livernois, giving the lead of the hard charger to Ellis Spezia, as Livernois falls to Lee through Sunset Bend.
Jackson Lee coming up 9 spots from where he qualified, currently running in the 12th spot, but he puts Dominic Livernois back into 13th. So now 19 overtakes for Livernois to 20 for Ellis Spezia.
This was right in front of him. That car going off the track, getting into the grass, and that just made Livernois get off the gas, play it safe, and he falls to Lee right there. Now Livernois needs to get back on the back of Lee, get into that draft, and try to make a move with 8 minutes remaining here at Sebring.
And right behind Livernois, that is the reigning F4 U.S. champion, Joshua Carr, as the Australian now all over the back of Livernois. Joshua Carr looking racy, as he's going to try to work his way up into 13th spot. This is his first race with us. Great to have Joshua on board, as he has already signed his, as he takes out a cone. Josh has already signed his contract for this 2020 season in Formula Regional Americas.
He's making some nice moves.
Side by side.
Side by side into the braking zone. Carr going to try to swing it around the outside, getting all the way into the grass, and Livernois playing it safe, but Carr, what a move to swing it around the outside in the braking zone to close in and get 13th place.
Great job, Josh, as he takes over that spot. And in the battle between Lazier and Anderson, continues to be one of the best on the racetrack. That's for 5th and 6th. Lazier with the position right now, as his car once again a little net code, but he stays in front of Victor Anderson as they bend their way under the bridge and through the turn they call Big Bend. On the way down to the hairpin, probably the best passing opportunity on the racetrack in the hard braking for this hairpin turn. Let's see if Anderson decides to send it. He's not close enough, I don't think, as Flynn Lazier maintains that hold on 5th spot, but only about half a second. Looks like about 4 car lengths as it stands right now as they work their way through Fangio.
Anderson and Lazier in that draft. Anderson does have the advantage on the straight, but Lazier has the advantage into the braking zone with all that downforce, and Anderson being affected by that dirty air being kicked up by Lazier's car.
We ride with Victor Anderson right now. It's Flynn Lazier just in front. A great driver's eye view over the roll hoop. Great pictures. Thanks to our cohort, Marco Barbonero, making these images available to you, as Anderson using all of the road as he comes onto the Ullman Straight.
Let's get into the draft as this is Arias. He's got a lot of front end damage, and we're going to go back to the battle for 5th. Anderson getting his nose into the gearbox, but it was just at the wrong place, wrong time to try for the move. So he's going to try to hold it as close as he can to Lazier as they're flying down the front straight. Is Anderson going to try to send it into turn 1? It's going to be too far back, but he's going to be prepped for turn 2.
Clipping the apex nicely is Flynn Lazier, using up all of the road. Anderson saving a little of that ground for turn 2, and now he's into that section. Turn 3, 4, and 5. Leading on to the sweeping right-hander, that is Big Bend, heading down toward the hairpin. Anderson maintaining station. as the interval between them about 0.3 of a second. This is a great passing opportunity here. Lazier's car disappears momentarily. Anderson gets right on his gearbox, but not close enough to make that pass. As they work their way through Fangio and head up toward Cunningham, let's see if he's got anything for Lazier. Heavy braking zone here at Cunningham as well, but not close enough to make that happen.
And Lazier and Anderson both just nailing these corners, none of them showing any advantage over each other, as Zachary Rivard is falling off the back of Waddell and Mason. He went off track just a little bit. A little heart and mouth moment as back to battle for 5th.
Yeah, Zachary Rivard about 5 seconds behind Ben Waddell and about 4.5 seconds in front of this battle. Rivard in the 4th spot as this 5th, 6th place. Now Anderson, oh yeah, he got a great run through Le Mans. Now he's got a chance. And Flynn Lazier knows it. He's guarding that inside line as they head towards sunset. But Anderson getting a good run. Let's see if he does the over-under. Yeah.
Oh, but well defended by Lazier.
And that corner is so bumpy. He has to be very careful of tossing it in there, as those all 4 wheels get off the ground pretty easily. As we get a replay of Livernoy's issue here.
Despite his bit too hot.
Despite his issue, he is still 17 positions up from where he qualified, but that puts him into
no! Dominic Livernoy in the wall, rear end destroyed as he heads into the pits.
Commentator's curse. Just as I was talking about him, he finds his way into the wall.
Oh, this lap was not Dominic's lap right here. Got onto the curb and slow motion flash before the eyes, hard into the unprotected wall, and destroys the entire back of his car.
Oh, that's a tough break for Livernoy, as we still have 14 cars on the lead lap. Blake Upton, our points leader, at the tail end of the lead lap right now. But we go back to this battle between Lazier and Anderson just up in front, with Jonathan Scarallo not that far behind in that red and yellow liveried machine, just coming into your picture now. So Lazier hanging on to the position with Anderson all over his gearbox. Meanwhile, at the front, Nelson Mason is gradually reeling in our leader, as Benjamin Peterson's lead was over 2 seconds just a few laps ago. It is now down to 1.5 seconds, and we're in the final 2 minutes of this race. There's our leader. Peterson may have enough of a cushion, but Mason has got maybe 1 lap or 2 at the most to try to make that happen. This will probably be the final lap right now.
It is going to be the final lap, as Mason, he is within the drafts. He's going to get a slight pull going down the straight. Can he close it in through all this infield and through these turns before the back straight to get as close as he can to Peterson, as Anderson and Lazier still battling it out as hard as these guys can, with 1 lap to go for the battle for 5th.
And our leader, Peterson, coming up on some slower traffic as they made the run down into the hairpin. You can see that slower car just in front of him, as Benjamin Peterson closing down on Sikorsky, I believe, in that lapped car. But he's able to maintain the advantage now, just over a second. 1.2 is the interval. And that lapper still in front of Benjamin Peterson, which could be slowing him down just a little bit. The dirty air behind that lapped car costing him just a little bit of front downforce. And Nelson Mason, with the bit between his teeth, driving hard.
1 second. It's within a second now. Mason can smell the blood of Peterson as these two are about to go full throttle racing through the final few corners. Peterson, 9/10 advantage. Don't let the pressure get to you. Head down 8/10.
Peterson right out to the edge of the Gators' teeth and onto the back straightaway for the final time. I think if he doesn't make a mistake at Sunset Bend, he's got this one in hand. But Nelson Mason closing ever so much closer, just about 0.8 of a second through sunset for the final time. Benjamin Peterson sweeping the weekend here last season at our closing event, takes it right out to the grass as he makes his way to the start-finish line. And Benjamin Peterson, once again, victorious at Sebring. Nelson Mason comes home in second spot. Benjamin
and here
Waddell.
Goes Anderson on ball to the inside of Lazier, but Lazier held it around the outside. And Lazier is going to hold it off for top 5 here at Sebring, ahead of Victor Anderson.
Jonathan Scarallo already across the line in 7th. Josh Bethune in 8th position after making up 15 spots from where he qualified. Logan Cuson with 18 points to the good, finishing in 9th spot. And now Ellis Spezia working his way toward the start-finish line. And if he makes it there, he will notch this weekend's Seybelt Hard Charger Award with 20 positions made up over the course of the 30-minute event. Joshua Carr and Dominic Cicero battling it out for 11th and 12th as they hit the line. Carr with the advantage, finishing in 11th spot. Cicero just behind him in 12th.
Oh, this is on the last lap. Jackson Lee getting absolutely upset right there. His car got punted out of the way from Joshua Carr. The Aussie, well, just unfortunately clipped the wheels with him after Lee locked up going into the hotel hairpin. But what a performance by Joshua Carr today.
Yeah, really picking up 8 spots in his first start with us. But Benjamin Peterson, Mr. Sebring, we're going to have to call him, after sweeping the weekend last fall at our final event of the year, getting the job done.
Dario Cangelosi, he's been struggling with some front wing damage. He was involved in that opening lap incident. I can't count how many incidents there were, but I believe 21 cars were involved. 21 cars didn't finish lap 1. I remember that.
Yeah. So Benjamin Peterson taking the win. Nelson Mason, our second place finisher, as we'll get the official results for you. A total of 22 cars finished on the lead lap. As Dario Cangelosi in that 29 car eventually came home in 16th position. Our top 3 drivers. There's your final finishing order. Benjamin Peterson, the dual citizen from Copenhagen, as well as dual citizenship here in the United States, takes his first win of the season. Nelson Mason less than a second behind in another thrilling battle that goes right down to the wire. Benjamin Waddell, already a winner so far this year, comes home on the podium once again in 3rd spot. Zachary Rivard takes your 3rd place finish. Flynn Lazier holding off the challenge from the Swede Victor Anderson for 5th and 6th. Jonathan Scarallo, in only his 2nd weekend with us, coming home in the top 10 once again as he finishes in 7th spot. Josh Booty Bethune out of New Zealand finishing 8th. Logan Cuson in 9th. Ellis Spezia, your 10th place finisher. Joshua Carr, the Aussie and reigning F4 US champion, in 11th spot. Dominic Cicero, our Masters driver, in 12th. Jackson Lee getting punted aside there at the very end, finished in 13th. Dakota Dickerson, the reigning Formula Regional champion, got caught up in an incident earlier on, and he finishes in 14th spot. Bruno Carniero, Dario Cangelosi, Blake Upton, the last cars on the lead lap. Bradley Sikorsky, the final driver on the lead, the first driver a lap down. Just behind Sikorsky, Quinlan Law, who started in the 2nd row and got a great start. Unfortunately, got caught up in that first turn incident, never able to recover for 19th. Darius Trinka also caught up in that, comes home in 20th spot. Marco Kosick in 21st. Dominic Livernoy in 22nd. Jordan Messig, Arias Dukmajian, Jacob Abel, your top 25, with Parker Locke. Megan Jilks also having a great run, but then got caught up with an issue about 3/4 distance. Kent Vaccaro rounding out the top 28. And then finally, the last positions on the track, Matthias Soler Obel, the Colombian, comes home in 29th position. Jose Blanco out of Puerto Rico finishes 30th. Simon Sykes, who finished a strong 2nd last weekend, has to settle for 31st. And David Porcelli, who got the best start of all, leading the pack into the first turn, but unfortunately got a little wide and set off that chain reaction crash, which took out a bunch of the competitors. Finishes last. We'll get our top 3 finishers into the interview room and hopefully have a chance to speak with Benjamin Peterson, Nelson Mason, and Ben Waddell. We have one more round of racing to go in this Formula Regional America's iRacing Invitational Championship at a track to be determined. It's the viewer's choice, where you can have fan choice. You can have your opportunity to vote for the track you would like to see these drivers go to for the finale. And any track in North America is eligible. North America or Mexico, for that matter, is eligible. And those votes are being tallied as we speak. There's an opportunity to vote on Twitter as well as on Instagram. The FR America's Instagram account is the place to go to cast your vote for your favorite track for our season finale coming up next Tuesday at 7:10.
And we have our race winner with us here in the interview room, Benjamin Peterson. Congrats on the win.
Thank you. Yeah, that was a pretty exciting race, pretty hairy first lap, but yeah, happy to get my first iRacing FR Americas win.
And you picked a good track to do it, Ben. We're going to call you Mr. Sebring after sweeping the weekend in the season finale last year, and you come back for your first win here this iRacing championship. Well done.
Yeah, thanks. I love Sebring. It has such a good flow, and once you kind of get into that rhythm, it's such an amazing track. Even though everybody says it's so bumpy, I think everybody's Sebring is one of everybody's favorite tracks. So just yeah, really nice to be able to compete, and this is a lot of fun, but also very serious because we get very competitive between each other. But always a good laugh at the end of it, which is nice.
Ben, talk about your season coming up. I know that BRDC Formula 3 was certainly in your future. Is that still the plan for 2020?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everybody's a little bit, they don't know what's going to happen.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
we're just ready to get going here. I'm still training like crazy and, obviously on the sim here, trying to stay sharp. But yeah, I'm just trying to treat it as if, the season was always supposed to start later on. So yeah, I think that's the best thing you can do mentally. And then from there, you just adapt. So we'll see what happens, but hopefully we're back on track soon.
Great. Well, best wishes to your dad and the whole family from Global, and hopefully we'll get this season underway eventually. And look forward to seeing the Global Racing Group crew once again defend their championship in Formula Regional Americas.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. That's Benjamin Peterson finishing second in the championship a season ago with the most wins, despite only racing a partial season in the Formula Regional Americas Championship for 2019. So great to have Ben with us here in virtual mode, as he's been with us most of this season, and finally getting his first win in round number 6. Waiting for Nelson Mason to make his way to the microphone, and we'll have a chance to chat with our second place finisher, as Nelson on the podium for the second weekend in a row.
How's it going there, guys?
Hey, Nelson, what's up, buddy? Well done. Second place finish, up one spot from where you finished last week. So you're headed in the right direction.
Yeah, definitely. It's slow but steady, I guess.
Exactly. Looks like you had something for Ben there at the end. You saved yourself a little car, so you were able to work your way forward and make it a real race there at the end. Got it down to well under a second, but maybe you needed one more lap to get that pass done.
Yeah, I think, Ben ran a pretty tremendous race, so I was having to be pretty inch perfect in order to make the gains. And, I think the other Ben and I were entangled in a little battle, and we had just talked about it. We were trying to work together, but both of us wanted to be out in front and work together. So I think that cost us a bit too much time. And then by the time I got clear and really figured out the wind change and everything else, it was just a little bit too little too late.
Well, thanks for another exciting race and making it exciting. You were in the Ben sandwich for much of this race, and we certainly appreciate the great work you do, and I look forward to you at a track to be named for our finale next Tuesday.
Yeah, looking forward to it, and thanks a lot, John. Yeah, it was a great race, obviously, and can't wait till next weekend or next
Great,
week.
thanks, Nelson. As we'll wait for Ben Waddell, our third place finisher, to make his way to the microphone. Been a winner already this year, finishing first at Road Atlanta in our first round of the Formula Regional Americas iRacing Invitational. And looks like Ben is at the microphone. Congratulations, Ben. Yet another podium finish.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, it was a hard fought race. Got kind of lucky there at the start, just kind of the sea split, and I was able to emerge second, which I was thrilled with. But overall, I really liked the track combo with these cars, I think, and it was a good race.
Yeah, you and Nelson had a great battle most of the race, and then eventually he was able to draw away and try to put a little more pressure on Benjamin Peterson. But as I told him, he was sort of in the Ben sandwich between you and Peterson for much of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think me and Nielsen were talking in the waiting room, and we both were kind of like wanted to lead because we thought we both had the pace to catch Ben. And we ended up just battling and letting Ben get a gap, which is unfortunate. But it was just, it's the racer in you, right? You want to be in the lead, and but overall, it was a wonderful battle with him, and um, I kind of fell back there. I was a little too inconsistent this race for my liking, and overshot 16 there and got a slowdown penalty. Because at the end of the race there, I changed my bias around and did a few things and found a little bit of pace. But it was a little too late. But overall, it was a really, really awesome race and a really good battle.
Yeah, after back-to-back eighth place finishes, you got to be pleased to get back up on the podium. And we still don't know where we're racing next Tuesday night, but hopefully we'll see you there.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Great, Ben. Thanks for being with us.
Absolutely. See you next weekend.
All right. So with that puts a period on round number 6 of the Formula Regional Americas iRacing Invitational Championship, our season finale at a track to be named. You get a chance to choose what that track might be. Go to the FR Americas Instagram feed, and you'll have a chance not only to listen to some of the other drivers that are in this race, as Amy Greenway holding court over there right now. We'll find out probably later this week where we'll be racing next Tuesday night. So on behalf of Austin Knight and Marco Barbanera, I'm John Phippen. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you next Tuesday for the season finale.